Hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Hold on for a second. Hold on. I got to make sure they're not watching. Let's get open for business here on the Jobu Sports Report. Guys, my spider sense is tingling. And no, it's not that I've been stealing Jobu's rum. In fact, let's get Jobu a refill. Guys, you know, I like to put 2 and 2 together, and usually it comes out 5. There's something going on here, and here's my theory right now. I think Dez might be coming back to the Cowboys. I know I'm not Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter or any of those insiders. I don't work for ESPN or NFL Network. I'm not an insider with the Cowboys, you know, working at the Star and stuff like that. But I've got this gut feeling, and when I look at some of the stuff that's been going on, the fact that Dez Bryant has had offers with Baltimore, the fact that he had offers with Cleveland, went for a visit with New England, I don't think his heart was ever into any of those places, because maybe it was foreshadowing. He said, if I'm not a Dallas Cowboy, I don't see myself playing football. And I believe he believes that. And with him living still in Dallas and him hanging out with Jerry Jones, because we know Jerry Jones had to be the bad guy and let him know he couldn't come back. Jerry Jones wanted him on here, but he deferred to Stephen Jones and Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan. And Scott Linehan, you know, had a plan, brought in his guys to coach, and wanted Dez Bryant gone. Dez Bryant, excuse me, became the fall guy. You know, we heard about the 5 roots and things, and Okoye, with his conspiracy theories, proved that Dez wasn't at fault. And I know that sounds crazy to think about what happened and the tweets and everything else. How could that be possible? And I've said that in order for Dez to come back, Scott Linehan would probably have to go, because it seemed like it was just a bad dynamic. But then, of course, the Cowboys re-signed Brice Butler. And Brice Butler, if anybody burned some bridges, he put C4 on that thing and blew it out, just blew it up. Yet they re-signed him, because I think the Cowboys realize that the young guys that they have, they're not real big playmakers, at least not yet. You look at Michael Gallup and you say, yeah, he can develop, but you know, rookie wide receivers don't really make an impact unless they're Odell Beckham as a rookie. And then they get injured later on in their career and become a pain in the ass. But we won't talk about the New York stinking Giants right now, because we're on the Dallas Cowboys theory. And I'm thinking that they might be listening right now. But here in my mind, this is what I think has happened. With Dez Bryant talking with Jerry Jones, and you know that they're tight. With Dez hanging out with other players on the team, you know, you saw him out with Jalen Smith and stuff. I bet you Dez has had a big slice of humble pie. Dez Bryant, as they always say, you don't miss the water till the well runs dry. I think Dez has done a lot of soul searching. Dez has a little bit of depression and stuff he deals with. And then you realize what you've lost when you've lost it. You don't realize what you have when you're there in the situation. It's after the water runs dry that you miss that water. And I believe that Dez is a changed person. I always like to quote Doc Walker, former Hog, tight end for the Redskins. Yes, he's a Redskin, and I don't want to hear people saying I'm a bandwagon fan. I'm really a Redskin fan. I'm a fan of him because he does a lot of stuff in the community and things. I've met him. But he says something that is so prolific, and I probably mispronounced that. But he says, it's hard to be hungry when your refrigerator's full. And you guys have heard me quote that many times. See, when you're the guy, you're a top 100 player, you got a $70, $80 million contract, you're the number one wide receiver, you get treated differently. You don't have to practice as hard. You want to have a day off, you take a day off. Coach tries to tell you something, you can kind of, I'm Dez. Or I'm Rick James. I'm not going to put the itch on it, but you know what I mean. And you don't have to fight and struggle as hard as a guy who's trying to establish himself. See, that's one of the reasons why I love young players, because they're digging, they're clawing, they're scratching to make a name for themselves, to get that playing time, to get that next contract. But when your refrigerator's full, you don't have that same hunger. You know what I mean? Now, Dez went to Cleveland, like I said, which is the Siberia of the NFL, and probably realized, I don't want to be here. Ain't nothing for me here in Cleveland. Had a 3-year deal offer from the Ravens, although the way the Ravens are playing, that might not have been a bad deal. But he wants to come back, so he is a changed man. On the flip side, you look at the Cowboys, who now have not had as much success in the passing game downfield. And I believe Dak is looking at, I know Dez is a 50-50 guy. You got a 50-50 chance of him coming down with it. It might be the pinky out of bounds, or it might be the catch, no catch and things, or it might bounce off the face mask. But hell, he's had that with his receivers too, where they've had balls pop out and become interceptions, like in Seattle. Drop passes here and there. So at least Dez is a big body. At least you know him. But I believe that the Cowboys may have softened their tone a little bit too, because now they're kind of saying maybe Dez wasn't quite as bad as we thought. And maybe the two sides are saying, you know what? Maybe we should try and work a little bit together. Now, I believe that Dez Bryant has gone to the other players and kind of made amends and say, hey, look, you know what? That Seattle game, my bad, man. I lost it. I'm hungry now. I want to come back. I want to be a teammate. I want to build something here together. And I think the coaching staff might look at it slightly different as well, because I believe their job's on the line. And the ways to set this up is Scott Linehan is definitely in the sling. Because I think Jerry Jones is on one side like, you guys want to get rid of Dez. You guys are the ones who wanted to do this, and our offense is failing. And now that you've got the fans that are upset and basically wanting blood, the fact that Stephen Jones, when we were going for the game-winning field goal, bumped onto Jerry and said, Jerry, if we miss this, we got to head for South Africa. We're going to have to leave the country because it's going to get ugly. They're hearing the voices too. And the other part of it is, when you look now at the team, you got Zeke Elliott, you just look at that and say, wow. You got a defense that's better than what you've had in a long time, because we've had enough offense to go to a Super Bowl. We didn't have a defense. And understand, things change quick in the NFL. You may look at it and say the window's wide open, and then all of a sudden you lose a player, 2 or 3, to injury, to free agency, or whatever. The team's not the same. And you look around at the landscape right now where they said the NFC was stacked. It don't look quite as stacked as it did. You look around and say, okay, New Orleans, they're playing really good. You say the Rams, they look great right now. But everybody else in the NFC, there ain't no home runners. There ain't nobody that's going to be running away with this. So you have to take the opportunities when they're there. And if you believe that Dez Bryant on this team right now is going to be an improvement for that offense, to give you another guy that they have to worry about covering, then you swallow your pride and you make that move. And I believe You're not going to pay him $16 million this year. In fact, I think Dez Bryant would just be happy to be back on the Cowboys and would play for a prove-it type of a contract that's going to help you keep a lot of that $19.5 million you have on the cap. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Dez Bryant coming in for a workout so the Cowboys can see what kind of shape he's really in soon, like early next week. That's my theory. That's what I think is going on. And right now, I'm feeling that Dez Bryant might become part of the fold again. If it happens, remember who told you this today, October 2nd at 9 o'clock. I'm Mark Holmes. And if I'm gone tomorrow and disappear, you know why. I'll see you soon.